I've been prosecuting murderers for 15 years, and I've never lost a homicide case.
He was an evil person.
She loved her family. She was a really big help to her mom and dad. Number one, she was just a very, very pretty girl.
The crime itself was so heinous, they were going to seek the death penalty.
In the annals of criminal history, few tales grip the imagination quite like the chilling saga of Mel Ignatow and Brenda Sue Schaefer. Their story, shrouded in darkness and betrayal, unfolds like a macabre symphony of terror, leaving an indelible mark on the fabric of Louisville, Kentucky and beyond.
Brenda Sue Schaefer was missing.
There's no indication where she is. She's not calling anyone.
It began innocently enough, a whirlwind romance between two souls destined for a collision course with fate. Brenda Sue Schaefer, a vivacious woman with dreams of liberation, found herself entangled in the web of Mel Ignatow, a man whose facade of charm belied a sinister nature lurking beneath the surface.
Mel Ignatow was a businessman who traveled to exotic places around the world.
She seemed really to idolize him. She was warm, and I got the complete impression that this was a wholesome, enjoyable, loving relationship bilaterally, and that sometime in the future there very likely would be a marriage as between them.
He took her to nice places, bought her nice gifts, and so she was, by all reports, enthralled with him.
Ignatow and Schaefer had been in a relationship for 2 years at the time of the slaying, but Schaefer, who had complained that Ignatow was hurtful, was planning to break off the involvement, an intention that Ignatow was aware of.
She would stalk Mel. If he went out with someone, she would follow him.
Mel dumped Mary Ann for Brenda. Mary Ann wasn't happy about that at all.
In the fall of 1988, the stage was set for a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. Brenda, determined to break free from Ignatow's suffocating grasp, confided in friends and family about her plans to leave him, a decision that would seal her fate in the most horrifying way imaginable. Little did she know that her intentions would set into motion a chain of events that would shake the foundations of Louisville to its core.
We were trying to determine if Mary Ann herself had any role in harming Brenda.
How many times did you meet Brenda Schaefer?
Just once.
Intending to slay Schaefer, Ignatow worked with a former girlfriend, Mary Ann Shaw, to lay out plans for the slaying, spending several weeks laying out extensive preparations.
She acknowledged that she had contact with Mel periodically, but she claimed that they weren't having any kind of a romantic relationship.
Shaw would later testify that they had gone so far as to scream test her house and dug a grave in the woods behind it.
She was saying that she didn't know what happened to Brenda and that she had no role in her disappearance.
On September 23, 1988, Schaefer met Ignatow to return some jewelry of his that she had in her possession.
When I saw Brenda, she had on an engagement ring that Mel had given her. It was very, very pretty.
The ring itself was valued at $20,000. And the parents saw her wearing it when she left for her date at 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Instead, Ignatow took Schaefer to Shaw's house, where he pulled a gun on Brenda and locked her in the house. Brenda was blindfolded, gagged, and bound hand and foot.
He convinced Brenda Schaefer that he would like to have one final date with her, and she agreed to it. Mel Ignatow convinced her to go to Mary Ann Shaw's house by telling her that Mary Ann Shaw loved jewelry, and she was very interested in seeing the item that Mel had given to Brenda.
On that fateful September night, as the moon hung heavy in the sky, Ignatow's malevolence reached its zenith. With cold calculation and chilling precision, he conspired with his accomplice, Mary Ann Shore, to silence Brenda's cries for freedom once and for all. The hours ticked by like a countdown to oblivion as Ignatow and Shore laid the groundwork for their nefarious scheme. A scheme that would culminate in a night of unspeakable horror at Shore's house. Bound, gagged, and helpless, Brenda became a prisoner of Ignatow's twisted desires, subjected to unspeakable acts of violence and degradation.
Forcibly puts his hands on her and starts telling her to take off her clothes.
Don't.
Ignatow forced Brenda to strip, photographed her in suggestive positions, roped, sodomized, and beat her. Her screams echoed through the halls of Shore's house, a haunting symphony of terror that reverberated long after her voice fell silent. He unalived her with chloroform. Ignatow and Shore buried her behind Shore's house. He took Brenda's jewelry and the exposed film. The details of that night are etched in the annals of infamy, a testament to the depths of human depravity and the darkness that lurks within us all. But even in passing away, Brenda's spirit refused to be extinguished.
God, just let us know something, if she's dead or alive.
I don't think my mother ever really gave up hope.
Mom would be praying that the next car coming down the road was going to be Brenda coming home.
Even if her body's broken, she said, we can fix her, but we all knew there was just no hope of that ever happening.
Her memory became a rallying cry for justice, a beacon of hope in the darkest of nights. Sadly, Ignatow was initially acquitted for a lack of evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how do you find the defendant?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. It was as if a dagger had been stuck in the entire community's chest.
And though the wheels of justice turned slowly, they turned nonetheless, exacting their own chilling retribution on Ignatow and Shore. Years passed, but the specter of Brenda's slaying loomed large, casting a long shadow over the lives of those touched by the tragedy. 6 months after Ignatow's acquittal, however, a carpet layer working in Ignatow's old house found a plastic bag under the carpet containing the jewelry Schaefer had taken with her to return on the night of her disappearance.
They noticed that the old carpet had actually covered over a vent.
I received a telephone call, and they said, I have some carpet layers in my house. Oh, why do I care about this? And he says, oh, by the way, this is the house that was owned by Mel Ignatow. Now the hair is standing up on the back of my neck.
Police researched the house and discovered 3 rolls of undeveloped film in a heating duct. When developed, the film showed Ignatow torturing and roping Schaefer, just as Shore had described. Ignatow's face was not in the pictures, but body hair patterns and moles matched him perfectly. Knowing that he could not be retried for the slaying because of double jeopardy, Ignatow was tried for perjury at his second trial.
Had some very point-blank questions about, did you harm Brenda Schaefer? You know, did you abduct Brenda Schaefer?
I would not have laid a finger on that woman.
But he confessed to the slaying in court at his perjury trial. He turned to Brenda's brothers in court and said that he had unalived her, but that she had died peacefully. Despite their best efforts to evade accountability, Ignatow and Shore could not escape the relentless pursuit of justice. And in a twist of fate as cruel as the hand that fate dealt Brenda, Ignatow met his end in a manner eerily reminiscent of his victim's final moments. A fall, a shattering glass table, and the echoes of Brenda's screams echoing in the recesses of his mind.
He evidently was drinking a lot. He stumbled and fell against, of all things, a glass coffee table, the implement that he used to torture Brenda, and cut himself and bled out and died.
The only sad thing about it is that he wasn't tortured before he fell through the glass top coffee table.
At 70 years old, an official cause of passing away is undetermined. However, based on initial remarks made by his upstairs neighbor who found Ignatow's body, and follow-up remarks given to the media by Ignatow's son, it is believed that Ignatow passing away was due to an accidental fall that caused a laceration to either his head or his arm, and that he had eventually bled to passing away. Apparently, he fell and hit a glass coffee table and, from what I can tell, he cut his arm, Ignatow's son stated. The upstairs neighbor, on the other hand, stated that it appeared Ignatow had cut his head and not his arm. It just looked like he had fell and hit his head on the table. And he tried to go to the kitchen, and there was a blood trail that way. And then it looked like he tried to make it to his room. Before he made it to his room, that's where they found his body at. Ignatow's upstairs neighbor also described him as a sick and elderly man, alone and struggling for help when he apparently stumbled to his fatal fate. I used to hear him all night, asking for Jesus to come get him because he was in a lot of pain. As the dust settled on Ignatow's sordid legacy, Brenda's memory endured as a testament to the enduring power of hope in the face of darkness. Her story serves as a stark reminder that even in the depths of despair, there is always a glimmer of light waiting to guide us home. And though the shadows may linger, they cannot extinguish the flame of justice that burns within us all. Signing off for now. Tune in next time for another riveting episode.